How's it
Look
going,
at
everybody?
us.
Look at us. I have my Do Convert shirt. This one's from, I think, the last time we were in Dallas Summit, which is
That's
coming up
from like a
super
hot
soon.
minute ago.
It is a hot minute
Yeah.
ago. And it's so simple. It's just like the
I want
logo
one.
repeated and
Can I have
repeated.
one?
You could have one. What size?
Yeah.
Extra small?
Actually, can Mike have one?
Mike will have one. Your hubby, Mike, will definitely get one.
Walking billboard.
He is the collector of the Do You Convert shirts. We're gonna have some cool ones at the summit. I'm excited. I always get excited about a cool t-shirt. So
Yeah. I
let's go.
mean, I can't tell by your background.
There's a bunch of shirts up there.
Right.
1, 2, 3, and then the Michael Scott quote in the corner, which Beth has never seen The Office and doesn't watch it, so I'm
What?
embarrassed to say that. I
What?
know.
I know. I'm sorry. I've seen
missing
like
out.
bits and pieces, but I've never actually like sat down and watched it.
It's not even like a cult classic, like say Dazed and Confused. Like you watch that
Love it.
movie and you're like, what was the point of this movie? Like
It's amazing though.
there's no point. It's just like, I mean, I get the point. It's like a coming of age movie mixed with like drinking and hazing. Like that's right. But there's no intention. It's just the story of
Yeah.
the last
It
day of
kind of
school,
meanders.
and that's it.
But like cult classic movies are my favorite.
But that's
Like
the point
Wet
of
Hot
it.
American Summer
Or
and because like the one-liners in Wet Hot American Summer, you taste like a bird or I don't like you anymore. Like you can't like who comes up with this stuff?
yeah. So I'm still surprised that one fits Matthew McConaughey, where he's like, all right, all right, all right.
Yeah.
And but then you're like, dude, it's pretty creepy. Like, you know, there's no like
So creepy.
yeah, even me saying that, it's like
Super.
maybe you shouldn't say that, Andrew. Should we delete that out? I don't even know. But there's no point of it. But The Office at least has a good storyline
I
to get to
know.
later season. So you should watch it on your
Okay,
flights
lesson
to
learned.
Dallas. Watch it. Go. So how's the house? Your house is almost done.
Yeah, you guys want to hear how I'm basically a project manager at
Yeah,
the same time?
I wouldn't expect anything less. But yeah, let's hear it.
And it's not just because of my personality.
Okay.
All right. So last week we had we went to the house around 5:36 p.m. on Friday.
Okay.
We walk in, we go downstairs, we're super excited because tiles being installed. They're there
It's real.
still.
Nice.
Go down to the
On a
basement
weekend. Okay.
on the weekend. Yeah. We go down to the basement. It's the wrong tile.
Oh no.
Mhm.
How far wrong though? Like it's close
It's
enough.
the right color, wrong shape.
Ooh, that's a big deal. Like
Yeah.
So did
It's
you
a-
say anything right then and there?
Oh, I did.
With them there?
Yes. So I went to the installer was there and I'm like, that's the wrong tile. And obviously there's a little bit of a language barrier. And he tells me upstairs. So
Okay.
I go upstairs
Okay.
and I look through the tile that's there on site. It's not there. So I'm like, okay, obviously the wrong tile was ordered. And with the tile that they're installing is actually the tile that's going in our primary bathroom.
Mm.
So at least it's like one I selected. It's just not the
It
right one
belongs
for
in the
those
home.
rooms.
Okay, it wasn't like square. It was rectangle.
It was
Which
rectangle.
I think most people would like what if it was square tile, which I think people associate with like that's the cheap included one somewhere, and you're like, I don't want it.
I probably wouldn't have felt the same if it was square.
Okay.
I probably would have like, I don't know. I can't say because it wasn't the instance. And at first I was like, we got to rip this up. We got to get the right one in. Like I was
Nice.
really like, my heart was on this hexagon. I thought it was going to like add a little bit of
Oh.
whimsy to the kids' bath.
That is a little vibe with the hexagon for sure.
Yeah, it would have been like this whole vibe. So then can't reach anybody. Can't reach my builder. Can't reach my tile lady.
They're out at dinner already.
They're gone.
Yeah.
Next day we come back. We're like, okay, well maybe they won't work over the weekend. No, they're working over the weekend. And now both rooms are fully tiled.
Oh, no.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay, last Sunday they didn't work. Maybe they won't work on Sunday because if they don't grout, we still have like a saving chance potentially. It'll at least be easier. Mind you, I have custom cabinets too. So like we can't risk any damage happening to these cabinets. So then we go back on Sunday. It's grouted.
Oh no.
And I'm like, ooh, I gotta just like come to terms with this. Then the tile lady calls us.
Mhm.
And she's like, I'm so sorry. She misunderstood a conversation that we had. There's no documentation of said conversation. So like she basically made the change with good intention, but it wasn't what was supposed to be done. And it was never something that I gave my approval on.
Yeah, that's not good. So she needs to clean up her processes a little bit. It seems like I'll just
Yes.
pick this one. Beth seems really nice. It'll
Yeah.
work.
And it was all with good intention. She was trying to save us money. because some of our quotes were, because the structure of this build is a little bit different. So it's like a cost plus model. And so good intention, but I was like, I'm not happy.
No.
And we talked through options, and I was like, look, I've been in construction long enough that I know this conversation, how bad it could go. And I don't want to have that conversation. So I don't want you to pull it up. These poor guys worked in the Georgia heat all weekend away from their families. It's done. We will live with it, but it's not the tile I selected. So what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And
What are
she
you
credited
gonna
it back to us.
The
Yeah.
whole cost of the materials.
The cost of materials in those rooms. Yeah.
That's good.
So at least
And it looks
when I
good.
look
I
at
saw
it,
the picture. It looks good.
yeah, it's beautiful. And
Only you
there's
know.
Not what
less
you
grout
had your
to
heart
clean.
set on. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the hexagon, though, I'm sure you have a little bit of like the hexagon, like, because that's a whole different feel
Yeah.
for the bathroom. Like that's
Yeah.
I like the
I
hexagon look.
literally had designed the bathroom around this hexagon tile. So it's unfortunate, but at the same time, being in the industry and like we were just talking about with the square, how long is
Right.
a hexagon going to be in style? How long am I going to actually like it? Am I going to be sick of it in a year or two?
That's true.
So at least this like rectangular tile that makes the room look a little bit wider to the eye because of the way it runs, at least it'll be a little bit more timeless. And it is a gorgeous tile. It pulls in the taupe colors because we got shiitake painted.
Shiitake. Taupe.
That's the name of it.
Shiitake. We're talking
You're
about food,
welcome.
mushrooms.
Yes.
Oh man, shiitake. I like it. How's the rest of the house going?
It's good.
Good.
So it's getting primed right now, and it looks like they did trim paint yesterday. I'm questioning whether or not the like feature in my office is going to be colored the color I want, or if they're going to keep it the trim color. So I might have to make some adjustments there, but we'll check on it this afternoon because my son wants to go every single day.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, we went all the time when we were building.
I did too.
One thing I'm tired of is agreeable gray paint
Yeah.
color. I'm sure
No
everyone is tired of that. I'm like, our house, I'm looking at my walls right now. I'm like, agreeable gray is everywhere. I'm not so agreeable with it anymore.
No,
It's
it
not
doesn't feel
timeless.
agreeable.
No, it needs to get out. So I'm
I
glad you're
did
not
the
doing
same
any of that.
color as Kevin. I was like, what are the colors of
Oh,
your
yeah,
house?
that's fine. Nice.
For anyone that would like to know, it is alabaster for the wall, pure
Okay.
white for the trim.
Which alabaster's been a while. Then back from your home state, not your home state. You don't claim Texas as your home state, but
No.
who are the people in Waco? Drawing a blank.
Magnolia. Yeah,
Magnolia.
yeah.
They really did alabaster and everything, right? I'm sure it's a meme.
I don't remember, to
pretty
be
sure they
honest
did.
with you.
I think they
The
did.
Gaines.
The
Gaines.
Gaines.
Joanna
yeah.
Gaines.
Should-
I was like, how did we forget their names?
I know,
What a great name
right?
if you like worked out or something. Andrew Gaines. And you're
Chip
okay.
Gaines.
You're done now, Andrew. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to episode 294. I'm the Ad Doctor, Andrew Peak, and with me today is Beth Russell and Julie Jarnagin. Julie, we'll start with your stories because we just had like a mini story from Beth, and something will pop up in my head here. So, Julie, what do you got going on?
Absolutely. Well, I have two. I have one quick one.
Ooh, fun.
The book came out today. This is old
Sweet.
news. If this was a week ago, if you're
Building
listening to this,
certainty.
Building certainty, content marketing for home builders. So I'm super excited that it's out in the world. But I just want to say our industry is wonderful. Like I got so many encouraging messages, not just from our Do You Convert teammates, from our builders, from people I've worked with, but just people in the industry who do not know me that well. Have sent me awesome messages and encouragement. And I think that's fun. I also thought it was cute. My high school math teacher shared it on Facebook. You have to remember, like I graduated 25 years ago in 1998. So I thought that was very cute.
I was okay, yeah.
That she shared it. Yes, I know.
That
You're
is
like,
amazing.
wait,
I'm like, what did I do in 1998? I was in fourth grade.
1998. Yeah, don't rub
That's
that
very
in.
cool. Don't,
So anyway,
any chance I get.
It's been a fun day. But my real story is that Jackie is on leave now. And so I am helping with some of her builders in the coaching role. I'm also in a strategist role. So kind of how we break things up here is the strategists really do the button pushing and go in and change ads and move things. And the strategy or the coach does more of the higher level, thinking about the bigger strategy of campaigns and what's needed and for sales and how the engine is working, all those things. But it's been a fun exercise for me to have to go back and forth in my brain between both, because on some of them I'm just the coach, some of them I'm the coach and the strategist, sometimes I'm just the strategist, and it really is different skills for different things, and it's the flipping back and forth. And I think it just made me realize that a lot of our marketers have to deal with that too, especially on a small team. They are the bigger level coach looking at the larger big picture strategy of things, and they're the doer. And I think sometimes we tend one way or another. Like sometimes, I like to just mark tasks off my list. So I get in that mindset of just like, get it done. Yes, I'll do that ad. But sometimes having to stop back and say, no, I need to look at this from a bigger picture. And I need to look at, why are we doing it? What are the goals before I just go build that new campaign? What really are the goals of that campaign? Is this the best strategy for that? So I just think it's a good reminder for everybody, are you switching back and forth in your brain in those two things and not just marking things off your list? And also, if leadership comes to you with something and they say, hey, we need a billboard for this or an ad for this, are you just saying, okay, and going and doing it? Are you stepping back and say, let's actually look at the data. Let's think about our goals. Let's think about what really the end product needs to be, and then work our way backwards for how we achieve that. So it's been a fun exercise, and I'm just starting it this week. So it's been fun.
Yeah, that is fun. And what I found is I'm good at one or the other within the same day. So like this week has been crazy. This has been like the heaviest travel the past 2 weeks. Myself, I was out last week. And then there's people out this week on vacation at Do Convert. So it's really interesting. I don't know if that's everywhere else. It'd be interesting to see if that's like a common trend. But when I'm like talking all the time or talking all day, it's easy. It's great. Like I could just do it. But that flipping back and forth, that's a challenge. Like that's really tough. So good job, Julie, on going back and forth. Some kudos for you. But I've definitely found if I get the more technical button clicking things out of the way in the morning, like I just have more patience for it, and just there's less friction or barrier to actually get the things done. And then afternoon, I think most people in general, you're kind of more social. You're willing to talk more like as the day goes on, and you're more tired. I was gonna say more tired, or that's not even how you pronounce that's not grammar. But like doing like a big technical project at 3-4 o'clock is absolutely miserable to me. So I don't know. We don't always have full control over our call schedules because it's not based on our schedule. Mostly it's like, when is the builder available? We'll accommodate for them. But that's one thing. If you are in that role where you're kind of bouncing back and forth, I would try to really get the technical things done in the morning. If you're able to.
I'm backwards though.
You're backwards, see?
I agree.
Or whenever
what's
you do
best
it, you got to pick one or the other. But usually like if it's like, all right, at 2 o'clock, I have this big meeting, then 3 o'clock, I'm doing this big technical thing. That does not work for me whatsoever. It might not work for you, or maybe it does. Everyone's different, but I think
you just have to learn which way. But I agree, but mine are swapped. I need to do the social in the morning, and then I can just zone out and press my buttons.
See, I don't want to.
I'm the same way as Julie. Or it ebb and flows during the day, like that 2 o'clock. And I guess it depends on when my coffee hits and things like that.
It is the coffee, so caffeine. Drug induced.
Yeah. But also, can we shout out Julie in that moment? Because as someone who's like newly in quotation marks in the coach position, that is a very insightful thing to pull out. That is, I hope people are listening and kind of taking a moment to reflect on if they're able to do that and if they are doing that. And I think it's also important, kind of like what you guys were just talking about, of like what time of the day and when you can switch, but also if you even want to make that switch. Because I feel like sometimes people really struggle going from the doer mentality to the thinker mentality. Yeah. And there's no saying you have to. Like, there's value in each position.
100%.
Well,
you need both.
Yeah.
And it's kind of on a spectrum or a gradient. Like, it's at least the way we function as far as the coach and then the strategist. It blends together, but it just happens to be like, say, Beth and Julie, I think you're both very strong strategy and thinking, but then also on the technical side. But then we look at like Josh, who's an analyst on our team. He's purely knocking out work. He could also be on a call and like all these sorts of things, or like to relate that to like a builder, like in the meetings, communicating ideas, he'd be great at. But everyone's different. You kind of lean usually more one way or the other. So you might as well just stay focused on what you're great at. Hopefully you're able to do that with your builder, which isn't always the case. But thinking long-term career growth, it's like, well, if you're really, really good technical, like there's no reason to force yourself to be like, I'm gonna be the opposite person than what I am naturally. It's like me, I'm
Yeah.
5'9". I'm not going to be a professional basketball player. I also would have been one by now. I'm not going to be one. So should I go and like kill myself every day training to try to get in the NBA? No, it's ridiculous. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
It's like we just had that conversation, Andrew, of like people forget sometimes that in order to be better and to grow, that it means being the better version, like best version of yourself. Don't force yourself to be someone you're not. Be the best version of you.
Right. 100%. Mm-hmm.
Look at us.
Love it. Look at us. Feelings. So good. Beth, what do you got?
Somehow Julie and I are always in sync, but
I know. I love it when that happens.
I
I
love
know
it.
it's the best. You really should join our coffee times because we have coffee dates every Monday and we
I
just
should.
chat
I talk
about
to all y'all
life.
way too much. I'm just
I know.
I'm just
Actually,
kidding. I'm just kidding.
I'm rescinding the invite. It's our special time.
See,
Okay.
I rejected the offer and then
You're
it got rescinded.
uninvited.
Oh man, I'm just gonna crash anyways because I have the link in on the calendar. So I should
Facts.
show up.
You do. But it's come up a lot recently, and I had sort of an epiphany, if you will, because for a long time, and even on a national stage, I've been preaching the importance of sales and marketing collaboration. But I think something that's getting lost in translation is that collaboration doesn't necessarily mean that they're always on the same page or that they share priorities. They have to be aligned. They have to be working together in a healthy way, striving towards the same goal. But what I'm seeing is a lot of people are forgetting that marketing priorities are completely different from sales priorities. They are serving two different parts of the funnel. And because of that, their priorities are different. Their strategies are going to be different. Their methodologies, their reason behind what they do are going to be different. And if we don't recognize that from the top down, meaning leadership, if leadership is not aligned with marketing priorities and making sure that they are a priority, then that's when just the whole funnel gets like mushed, shaken up, and it's not great. It's not good for anybody.
I try to say that with an analogy.
Oh, yeah, Kevin Isaac.
Kevin's not here. Kevin's in Nepal. He's climbing Mount Everest. So the priorities versus our intention or our roles. So let's separate. Our priorities would be like what we need to do to get done throughout the day that support the overall goal of selling more homes, right? If we're not selling homes, who cares? What we're doing is a waste of time.
Exactly.
So I think we all agree the role of marketing, the point of marketing is to whatever we do needs to focus on selling homes. But our priorities might not be the same priorities as sales, or our biases, what we do in a given day might not be the same as like a salesperson. Now we're talking about like individuals. So if we were like in a kitchen, salespeople would be the servers. They're pushing things. They want that tip commission. And we're in the kitchen cooking things up. Like we have to have a good product. We have to be able to present it in a way. We're presenting the product. So there's all that. So our priorities might not always be in line with the micro changes that are out there in like the real world. And so if we're only doing things that the server or the salesperson thinks is important in that moment to get the person talking to them, to get the tip, to get the commission, long term, I think maybe that's what you're saying. It's like long term, that's a big issue, but maybe in the micro, in the moment, in that day, that night, that week, like it could work and there could be some alignment, but over time, it'll probably separate as, we need to stay focused on what we know needs to get done to make sure that there's more people in the door to sell to.
Absolutely. And I think like part of it is understanding what can be overcome and what cannot. So like a good example is something that just came up recently of if a change is made in a process or something is happening within the organization and it's driven by sales, but it has an impact at the marketing level. The example I used was it negatively impacts your SEO. That is harder to overcome than a person in your model home who saw a picture on a website that has an arch instead of a flat. That you can overcome, but damaging your SEO, that's going to be a lot harder to overcome than that one person who's upset because there's something slightly off from the image on the website. We're forgetting that. It almost seems foundational, but I'm seeing it over and over again where people are forgetting it. And it's starting with leadership. where they're implementing and getting super excited about big changes or whatever, and they're forgetting the why and the potential impact down the road long term of implementing said change.
Well, and I think that's why it comes back to in marketing. Such a big part of our job is communicating to other people in the company and educating them on what we do and why we do things, because it doesn't just, it's really clear, like, we need sales. Here's things we can do to get sales. Marketing is a little more squishy. And so some of those bigger picture ideas like the SEO and why we don't want to redo all of our renderings for thousands of dollars for a small change, because some of those things, it all comes back to how we communicate it to them as well. So it's just going back to like what I was saying. You can't just be an order taker all the time and they come back and say, we need to do this. Sometimes you have to dig a little deeper. Why do we need to do this? Okay, we can do this, but let's talk about this. This is what how it's going to impact us down the line. Here's what's going to cost. Here's what we could run into. So I think it's just having the confidence to have like those conversations and dig deeper and not take everything right at face value. And sometimes they win out. Sometimes something like that does need to happen, and that's good. It's just that the conversation needs to happen first, and everybody needs to get all the data points before a decision's made.
Yeah, you need to take the time to peel back those layers, and instead of just being like, okay, yes, ma'am.
Open that onion up.
Yeah, it's my favorite. Me and my marketers say all the time, marketing is like an onion.
It's like an onion. Some onions aren't worth keeping.
Yeah, it's my favorite reference. We're making it a thing. Okay, we're going to talk about it every week. It's going to be a thing. Jesse on our team even sent me like an onion emoji. It's catching on. It's like Fetch from Mean Girls.
There will be. It will catch on. I want to see onions at the summit.
Carla, can you please create us an onion t-shirt?
There we go. Yes. I'll wear it. I'll wear it in a heartbeat. Perfect. Well, that's it for story time. Let's go on to the news. First one up is from nerdwallet.com. Have seasonal housing market trends returned? What do we think about this one? One is from NerdWallet, so I think there's a little bias because they make money from pushing financial products. But there's that. But it's a good article. What were y'all thoughts on it?
I mean, my takeaway is what I think the main thing people should think about. It has been, in years past, the seasonality of the home market has been very steady year over year. We have the spring selling market for new homes a lot of time. Then it gets even busier. It's kind of a summer market for existing homes. So we would start off there, and then it would be like a slow decline through the years. The last few years, it's kind of been all over the place because of just the market has, in some ways you do see it, but it's just, there's so many other things playing against just how people are shopping for homes. It's interest rates, and it's demand, and it's, all the COVID stuff we had a few years ago and all those things. So I think what it comes down to is just that we're starting to see it look more normal again, but it's still it's not normal yet. It is getting back to the old days, but and you do need to be aware of seasonality, and it's still there, but you just can't depend on that to be exactly like it used to be, because things are different now and everything affects it.
Definitely.
I think what we're starting to see in this repetitive nature through like the news articles and the market and all this stuff is like we almost have to adapt the mindset that this is the new normal. Like there is
Don't say that. The new
normal. But I mean, if you keep waiting, right? If you keep waiting,
yeah, you're like, I just want it to be normal again. It's like, we're already here.
What does that even mean? Normal's boring. Like, let's have some fun.
There is no normal. Yeah, let's have fun. Perfect. There's no normal. Nothing is normal. Normal's relative. I don't know.
Let's be weird.
Let's be weird. Let's get
weird.
Let's
ride this wave.
Weird. Let's ride the wave. What I found interesting is just, and maybe it was, who is the audience in this? It's not marketing or home real estate professionals, but to me, I'm like, ooh, this is false feeling. And they're talking about what it means for 2023 buyers, and they put in this phrase, I'll read it. So many of these would-be sellers are unlikely to want to give up that existing low-interest mortgage in exchange for the 5 to 7% rate that they may face this fall. This is just talking about the lack of inventory. And I thought that was like a really polite and nice way to say it. I think it should have been, and why there's not much inventory available, which is keeping prices up, right? Supply and demand. It should have been like something like, so many of these would-be sellers are unable to, they are not willing to, they cannot afford to
Mhm.
buy a new home with their previous, like you can't, like if you're less than 3%, 4%, or even 2%, if you refi to like a 15-year mortgage, and now you want to go to a new home, you're like, well, the home we bought for 500K at 3% is now 800 at 6.5, 7. We
Mhm.
can't do it. Like it's not even like, oh, I'm just not willing. I really, I'm in love with my 3% mortgage rate. You're like, no, like we can't do anything. Like we literally cannot afford that home.
Yeah.
So they're stuck. There's all these, I'm sure there's data on what percent of buyers cannot change. Those homes are, I don't say permanently off the market, but like they're not going to be on the market ever. Right. So which
Mhm.
I think is great news for home builders, because there's better incentives, prices, there's more
Mhm.
homes, more homes. Like I think it just pushes more and more and more towards new construction versus existing. Because those homes will likely just turn into rental properties. I was doing the
Yeah.
math on our home. I'm like, okay, in 2, 3 years, here's this, here's this. I'm like, it still doesn't make sense to sell it. Like even if we were to go to another move up home, like we want a pool, it makes more sense to buy a home that already has an existing pool for the price of pools, all that stuff down this way. But I'm like, we'll still keep our house. Like
Yeah.
what rent is for our home versus what our mortgage is. It's like, that'd be kind of foolish to get rid of the house. Like why? And it's
Yeah.
always,
That's exactly what we did. There was
yeah,
no like the benefit of selling, even with the increased
like the equity
price
you could pull
point.
out. Yeah.
It didn't impact us long term, and we're able to rent it so fast because
Oh,
there is no
100%. There's
rental
nothing.
market there.
Yeah. So
It's
I thought it was a little soft on that, but I don't know if most people were reading. I don't know if the average consumer or buyer would read into that and be like, oh yeah, this is actually why it's. They made it seem like, oh, these people are kind of selfish and they don't want to get rid of their 3%. It's like, no, like they can't. Like it's just like it's not even a choice.
Mhm.
Then at the bottom they're like, consider if to reduce your interest costs, consider a 15-year mortgage instead of 30. I'm like, excuse me, like 7% at 500K versus 6 or 5.8, whatever, at a 15-year for 500K. I'm like, ooh, that's like, here's a pool of buyers is now like shriveled up. Like that's not good, not good at all. But I
Yeah,
thought it was
almost
good.
out of touch.
Yeah, that maybe this was little out of touch. The graph's really nice though, so definitely check on that from them. But I agree, it'll be interesting to see what the rest of the year holds in terms of like traffic. Historically, has always gone down in the fall, and that's what we've seen with homebuilderdata.com. Looking at the aggregate data of 100 plus builders, like it's going to drop in the fall. So hopefully, like if you're thinking about pushing budget, I think it would be push budget now,
Yeah.
August, September, October, the first parts of November, because really like the week before Thanksgiving through the new year, like search activities down, conversion rates will be lowered. Like, and we have the
Mhm.
data to show that's mostly what happens, unless interest rates go from 7 to 6 to 5 point whatever, then that would be like a surge of new activity, which I don't think anyone would complain about. Like that'd be fun to have the back half of the year if rates were to go down that low.
I
Yeah.
also think that inflation gets talked a lot as far as that's why rates are higher is because they're trying to control inflation rates. But I also don't think there's enough conversation around. Also, it's just cost of living is up because of inflation, and so how far people's money goes is different now.
Yeah.
So a lot
Mhm.
of time that conversation um, isn't being had. It's like we're looking at inflation as the overall economy, but these individuals out shopping for our homes are also dealing just with cost of living.
Yeah.
If y'all notice, groceries are a little more
Oh,
expensive
I
than
definitely
Yeah.
noticed because I like
than they
food and the
were
kids like food.
2 years ago. So I think it's just keeping in mind it's not just the bigger picture of these charts and graphs, but we have individual people dealing with these.
Every
It's not
day.
just a number, but dealing
Right.
with the payments and can we make it and how are we going to make this work? And we have to move because of a job. How do we make this work? So it's just thinking through that when we're dealing with our home buyers.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Good combo. We're gonna jump ahead a little bit to the article from Futurism about Elon Musk changing the name of Twitter, which I still think is super bizarre. So I think everyone noticed that This one's titled "Business Genius." Elon Musk says he's changing Twitter's name. I feel like there's some sarcasm in there,
No, I honestly think it's
but
just a
he is a
ploy.
genius. Like, right? Tesla,
Yeah, you
PayPal.
mean the business genius. You couldn't tell if they were being
I think they're
serious
being
yeah.
kind of a smartass.
Yeah.
To about Elon Musk, like, why would you change Twitter to X? Like, but then, okay, hear me out. I think it's dumb. Like, that's my personal opinion. But I'm like, who listening to this podcast, who even connected to this podcast, has done anything that this man has done, this dude has done? PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX, that has had that type of impact on the a global impact on the world. Like, okay,
Yeah.
so maybe there is something we're just missing here.
Or is it even real, Andrew?
Or is it even real? Are you
like,
saying
is
we're in the
it
Matrix
trying
or
to
something?
stay relevant with
Possibly.
like trying to stir up?
Is it so before PayPal was PayPal, it was X.com. Right? It was X. It was called X. So that's what this article points out is like maybe this is a move towards becoming this all-in-one, all-encompassing platform, more than just 140 characters or less, although there's more than 140, all that stuff. But is it more than just that? Because really, if we look at our circle of who we interact with, let's say, do you convert? That's not a good circle. It is a good circle, but it's like a very small sample, right? It's not good.
Not a big enough
bad circle. Who's actually on Twitter active? Not that many people. Instagram,
Kevin.
Everyone. Facebook, Kevin, right? It's just Kevin at Do You Convert. I
Just
use it as
Kevin.
my news source. So is there bigger potential with changing Twitter into something else? Probably. And now there's Threads from Instagram, which is essentially Twitter. Although I'm like, I'm not going on there. Like, I have Instagram. So maybe it does need to. Maybe he, in his brain, he's like, this is a dying company. He bought it. He paid a premium. Who cares? Maybe he didn't pay a premium. He does have this giant user base. What if the potential from changing it to X and having a different revenue source if he's doing payments and transactions is actually that far exceeds what Twitter ever could be? Because Twitter ad platforms are a pile of garbage, right? Who loves Twitter ads?
No.
Twitter has ads.
No, yeah.
They have Twitter ads, and we're like, oh, if you think about it, who is on Twitter? You're like, well, probably higher income. They're professionals, and it's like, these are people that buy homes. These are people that buy homes. Yet, who's excited about Twitter ads that builders get to use? No one. No one uses it. So maybe it's not a bad idea. What are your all's thoughts on it? Other than like, what do you call a tweet now? I don't know, an X. An X is sexist.
I know. I think it's part of a bigger scheme in his mind that we haven't seen it all come to fruition. Like, we're guessing at what the heck he's thinking. Like, there's some bigger play in all of this. Or he's just sitting there laughing through the whole thing. It could be that too. He has so much money that he doesn't care, and he hated how
he's trolling
was
all
run.
of us.
So
That's
he's like,
doing.
Exactly. It could be that, but I feel like there's a bigger story to this than we've been given. The X thing is weird. Like,
and it's like a character on your keyboard. Like I was like, you could. It's one of the someone nerdy's like, it's this, Andrew. Why do you not know that? Come on, ad doctor. Like Alt 0154, and it does the X. Like it's not a logo. It's a character.
But then also sometimes I'm like, maybe he's just losing it, but maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe I lost it. Yeah.
I don't know. It's strange, but it doesn't surprise me. Like, when I saw it, I was like, of course he is. Of course he's not just leaving. Like, of course. But it's fun to watch.
It is fun to watch, and I think it'll be fun to watch to play out, because I think that's part of the allure of the conversation is like, no one knows where he's going with this. We know it's not as simple as him just changing the name. We know it's either like a big trolling thing, or we know it's like a bigger picture, something that's going to happen, and that's why it's getting all of our attention. So it's working, and that alone in itself is genius, one could argue. So my favorite thing about it is if you pull up Twitter and everyone's coming up with new ways to design the logo, and that's just fun to watch.
That's fun to watch. It could have been so much cooler, right?
Yeah.
Also, speaking of trolling, the whole thing about him and Zuckerberg having like a cage match. Because I get a lot of that because I do jujitsu, and that's what they're training jujitsu.
Julie's in charge of our security team as well. In case you're wondering.
It's hilarious. It just makes me laugh because it's like, what in the world? It's just so bizarre. The whole thing is bizarre.
They're both bizarre.
I enjoy it.
Those type of people, they have to be bizarre, right? That level of intellect and success, like, you're not a normal person. Like,
their brain works on a different wavelength.
100%.
Yeah, genius
100%.
is madness.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably a bunch of messed up things wrong with his brain, other than he's extremely intelligent. Let's go on to the one from NAHB, National Association of Home Builders.org. New HBI report shines spotlight on labor shortages. Oh, geez. Did anyone fall asleep when I read that? Anybody? I mean, it's important. We'll be quick on it, but and I want to see if you feel this way. Maybe this feels controversial. So they talk about, key findings in the report include there's 723,000 new construction workers each year is what's needed. That's a lot
Mhm.
of people. Does that
Yeah.
number, all these numbers just seem made up to me. Maybe I'm just delusional.
Mhm.
That's so many people, right? The number of open construction sector jobs currently averages between 300,000 to 400,000. Does that mean there's actually that many job openings, or the turnover is really, really high? And so they always have to have openings. And so there's just this constant influx of people in and out, in and out. I'm not really sure. But what I thought is interesting is, according to Ed Brady, HBI president and CEO, the facts show the construction industry today must focus on three urgent priorities: promote training and jobs in the trades to those people who have not yet considered a career in construction, support immigration reform, and advocate for housing affordability. So essentially, we build more homes. We need to tell people this is a great career. And oh, by the way, in case we can't get people in the US to do it, we need better immigration policy to encourage more people to come to the US to then work. So I think that's it in a nutshell. But all the marketing and advertising I see. So let's talk about it from the marketing angle. I
Okay.
feel the marketing does not hit the 15, 16, 17, 8-year-old person to then go into trades. Like it's all about like it's
It's
all
true.
I don't know. It's not working, obviously, right? Imagine this is our job at Deconvert to get more people into trades. We're measuring our
Mhm.
campaigns. We're starting not getting more applicants. So we're not
Mhm.
doing a good enough job. Like we're getting leads are down, or applicants are down. So I think it's interesting. Just we don't have to do this exercise on the podcast. That's not the point. But like, oh, well, what would get more applicants? Like that's what someone should be thinking.
Well,
Yeah.
and this is going a little bit down a side
That's
road,
okay.
but
Let's do it.
also college is so expensive now.
It is.
Like you would think that the trades would start becoming more and more attractive to people, where you can go to a trade school, learn a trade, and automatically be making a lot of money fresh out of that. So you would
Yeah.
think that we would start getting more just from the fact of people are having trouble, going to school, where it used to be easier back when I graduated in 1998, 25 years ago. But so that's interesting to me too. And I think the other part for just marketers to think of is remembering that leadership is also dealing with these things.
Yes.
Not having subcontractors, not having good subcontractors, having one on the job and then they up and leave, or competitor comes in and hires them. Sometimes we get in our little world of marketing, maybe sales, maybe community development, we forget that there's all these other factors coming
The houses
in
have to
that
be
are
built.
moving. The houses have to be built, and they have to be built well, they have to be up to the standards, and in the pricing, we have to keep prices down so that we're not raising prices. So it all plays into a bigger picture that's good for us, a good exercise just to remember that all exists, and
Yeah.
helping, home buyers who are going through the process understand more of that too. Not too much of it, but the proper amount that they would want to know.
100%.
And this isn't a new issue. Like this isn't this it even points to that. Like this isn't a new issue. This has been an ongoing problem. But as builders become like, we said it before, we have the power in the market right now. They need to be able to build the product. It's the issue is kind of spotlighted even more so now. And it's a good thing, because I think this is an opportunity that we can take from like the military, for example, when they up recruitment and they do recruitment campaigns when they're low on recruitment, is like they have to make young people see that this is a viable career and there's a big, beautiful opportunity available in the trades, and there's pride associated with it, and start telling that story more. I think there's a lot of opportunity to do that.
Agreed. I think let's jump in on this one. Who knows? We might edit this out. But I think the challenge is like you said, Beth, at the beginning, like your tile person was there Friday night at 5:30, Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
So I think they need to, if this is going to be fixed at some point, address this assumption, which could be correct or incorrect, of not so great work-life balance, damage to your body as a human being who has feelings and pain, right? I sit in an office all day. My biggest risk is carpal tunnel, right? I think as far as like that goes. Well, if you're on a job site, hurt yourself, like you're getting hurt. You could die. Like all these, right? So these are all real things that people consider. Like, do I go into trades? I don't know. My old man he's a plumber and he can't walk, or he's got a limp, or whatever. Like like this real things.
On that note, let's talk about women's in trades too.
Yeah.
One of my best friends here is in air conditioning and AC tech, and she's fabulous. She's amazing. So that's another thing they need to talk about more, is getting more skilled women in
100%.
the labor force.
Agreed. I think they could. Yeah, I think it's like with anything, you address the objections and then boom, you know how to do it, which the military does flawlessly. They throw money at it, and it's that's the first one, 20, 30, 40, whatever, $1,000 sign-on bonus. And then you have some type of work-life balance, and then you're proud to be an American, or at least I know I'm
Can we have some background music?
Maybe we need to make a jingle for the trade force.
We do need that. I think some of the labor unions probably have some jingles. And
Kevin's going to be like, what happened when I left?
Yeah.
Like, I left the country.
Done. Oh my goodness. Well, here we go.
When dad's away, the kids will play.
I know.
That's true. Dad and dad. It's great. Well, let's go on to our favorites, because we all have a hard stop here coming up. Current favorites. So, Julie, current favorite.
Well, I have just mailed about 80 books. And I was the person at the post office that like everybody hated, because there would be like 20 people, because I would like have mounds of books.
Fair.
So then I started doing it online on stamps.com, because you can't do it USPS if you're doing media mail. And I have a little Dymo label printer, like a laser printer. And it was amazing, and it saved me. So
and no one wanted to beat you up at the post office and look at you and give you bad looks.
I know, I would carry up that bag, and then people would start backing up, and I'd be like, I'm sorry.
Is this person serious?
I was.
Did she graduate in 1998? What is she doing? Oh my god! I'm just kidding.
Right. Terrible.
Oh, man.
No, I'm not.
Beth, what do you got? Your favorite?
Current favorite is obviously Julie's book. Shout out. I mean, that's just amazing. And I think it's really great that there's something content based, because that's available for marketers in our industry to use. I haven't seen it before. I think that when we saw the example with like the Kevin's pre-sale with that fail, having that content, something that they can circle back and reference, that is foundational and is something that they can keep with them and share with the people in their organization. There's so much benefit to that. And they're not having to rely on like just YouTube videos anymore. Like there's something physical that they can give to people in their organization. And I love it. I'm so excited. I'm in all of you, and I can't wait for everyone to read it.
And it's for builders.
And
like,
it's for builders.
It's specifically, it's not for real estate agents, or, it's very specific to builders. So, because it is, sometimes you go read a book on marketing or content marketing, and you're like, well, yeah, that might work for a pair of jeans or a t-shirt company, but it doesn't apply, to what we're doing. So Andrew knows all the back end of the ads. It's just all a little different, because home building is just a very unique.
We're special.
Industry.
We're special.
We're special.
It's one of my current favorites. Is the home building
so many
industry,
ways.
We're so special. Yes.
We really are. My other one is Farmhouse Burgers. So I don't know where they all are.
I'm looking it up right now because I'm hungry.
Google it, because we're now in the Augusta area. So if you ever come to Augusta for the Masters or whatever, and you need a good burger, Farmhouse, everyone recommended it to us. Like literally everyone we spoke to who has been to the area was like, you got to go to Farmhouse.
But it's not house, it's HAUS.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did you order there?
I create my own. Okay, I do the single patty with pepper jack cheese.
Little spice.
And I do sriracha mayo on the side with the roasted garlic aioli on top.
The roasted guy. Yeah. That sounds good.
It's my jam. And then I do pickled onions, which are like my favorite thing in the world.
Pickled onions are legit. They don't go. I don't know what I'm trying to say. They go with everything. Is what I'm trying to say. They really do. There's
And
nothing they don't go with.
honestly, when I first made it, I thought I was going to want bacon because I love bacon and there's a bacon jam that they had. So I thought I was going to want the bacon jam, but I didn't. Like, I didn't feel like anything was missing. It was just lovely.
You missed your calling. You should have been a burgerista or whatever you want to call it.
You know,
Burger
maybe
tender.
I'll start like a little burger blog.
Burger blog, best burgers in the South. Let's see, my current favorites. We just got back from Key West and Miami on a little vacation. And Key West, like, if you haven't been there, I'm in Florida, so I'm 8 hours away. So we drove down halfway, then drove the rest way. It is, I don't know, it's still like my favorite. Leave my town and here in Tampa Bay to go somewhere like vacation spot. But it's everything I want. I just want to eat food all day, walk around, eat more food, walk around some more, eat more food, see some music, hang out by a pool or beach, whatever, and do nothing is my cup of tea. And you could do that from like 8 a.m. until on a Tuesday night in July, 90-degree weather in Florida, hot and smelly and gross. You could be out until like 2, 3 a.m. Like if that's your thing. And it's not like crazy wildness. It's just like, oh, there's another band. There's another band. There's another band. So much fun. So if you need any tips for Key West, let me know. We just got back. That's my current favorite. My opposite of current favorite is coming off of vacation. You get like post-vacation blues. It's so depressing. You're like, I'm eating regular food again. This is awful. I didn't.
You're
cook
just
food
going to
for
start
7
planning
days.
for a summit. This is what you do. You finish one trip
This
and
is
you
what
start.
I do. You sound like someone I
start
married
looking.
to. Like this is what you
Start
do.
looking at
Andrew,
your
isn't it?
food. Start looking for
Well,
your
we got
food. in the
Vegas
beginning
in
of Dallas.
February for the Builder Show. Dallas here in September. Yeah, I don't know the food in Dallas. Although there looks like some good options right there by Gillies. And I'm sure
Probably
food at
barbecue.
Gillies. I'm sure
Yeah,
there's be some.
we'll get some good brisket.
I was gonna say, Texas is known for brisket, right?
Tex-Mex.
That's the thing.
Mhm.
Cool. And then
Brisket and
Georgia is pulled pork and certain type of. Yeah, you got to do a barbecue tour. You don't know?
You know what? I should look into a barbecue place because we also just came from Kansas City, so obviously I love Kansas City barbecue as well. They're more known for like their burnt ends and that kind of stuff, and their barbecue
I'm
sauce
hit or
is a
miss
little
on
bit
burnt
different.
ends. Like
It really depends who's making it.
That's true. I had the best crab cakes though down in
No.
Miami. See this? I knew this would get Beth going. You're
Hot
like,
topic.
I don't think so. You haven't had crab cakes, so you had them in Maryland and Baltimore with some old.
No,
Bay.
like handmade, like really some like your grandma's recipe for crab cakes with fresh parsley, mustard, and you put Liam Perrins on top.
I'm going to Baltimore. I'm wearing my bulletproof vest, but I'm also going there on a crab cake tour. I'm thinking, is that
Let's
worth it?
do it. Let's do
You're
it.
in Georgia, so you're not invited.
I'll go home for that.
I'll go home for that.
Yeah,
You'll know where to go.
And that's the other thing is when I went to
convert crab
Farmhouse,
cake tour. Perfect.
They had malt vinegar for your French fries.
Oh, okay. Right up your alley.
Yeah.
Do you carry Old Bay like in your purse or anything? Okay.
No.
Are you even
I
from
don't.
Baltimore? What is this? Oh my goodness. Well, that is it for this week. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to become a member for free of DConvert's all access community app for home builders and developers. Watch behind the scenes videos from the podcast, frequent exclusive postings, and analysis from the DConvert team, access to private hangouts, and more. See y'all.
Love you guys.
Oh, that's precious.